Welcome to the Fall 2022 Virtual Fabric Show. I am Stephanie Sheridan and I will be your host today. There are over 30 brand new collections in our fall release, and we are excited to share some of them with you today. A few notes before we begin. We will be taking questions from the audience at the end of each session today. So please feel free to type your questions into the Q&A box located at the bottom of your screen during the presentations and the panel discussion. Please visit our website, benartex.com, or our Virtual Fabric Show website, which is virtualfabricshow.com, to see the full collections and find out more information about all of the fabrics that you see here today. When you see something that you love, and we are sure that you will, please ask your local quilt shop to order the fabrics. They can contact their Benartex sales rep, order through one of our many distributors worldwide, or contact us directly through our website for more information on ordering. We only sell to independent quilt shops. You won't find our fabrics in any of the big box stores. And now it's time to begin the show. Designer Nancy Halvorsen is here today to share her Wanderlane 2 and Whisperweave 2, excuse me, Whisperweave 2 collections. These two fabric lines build and expand upon the original collections from our spring release to include all 4 seasons. Mark your calendars from May 2023. You won't want to miss these fabrics at your local quilt shop. Nancy?
It's so fun to be here with you today, and I'm excited to be able to show you the rest of what's happening on Wanderlane. And I'm going to start out today. I'm so thrilled because I just received fabric. So I have some actual fabric that I can show you. To start out with, this is the Autumn Wanderlane, and it's got the cutest little pumpkins, squirrels, acorns, scarecrow. I just love all the details in it. It's just adorable. I can't wait to get sewing. And then we have the winter version. And then we've got little reindeer, Christmas trees, bunnies, snowmen, a cute little fox. So it just continues on from Wanderlane 1, which was spring and summer. Now to go with the autumn, we have beautiful oranges, golds, yellows. I just love the different tones and the greens. Love these. Now there's 2 different greens in this collection. These are the yellows, and then kind of the yellow green. And then there are some more of a blue green, which is beautiful for the winter blocks. Then, of course, you can't do Halloween and autumn without some blacks and grays. So we've got the blacks and grays. I just love all the different tones, different textures that just make, when you put a quilt together, it just makes it so much more interesting, I think, when you have different tones, colors, and textures. Then we move on to the reds. And corals, which are beautiful. I'm so happy with the way these came out. And of course, the blues, teals, aquas, always my favorites. And then, of course, no collection is complete without your neutrals. So whites, light grays, creams. Now I have, when I've been showing you this, I've been combining the Whisper Weave and the Wander Lane 2 together so that you can see how beautifully they blend. And of course, you can't do Halloween and fall without some purples, even though there aren't purples and plums in the Wander Lane line, there are in the Whisper Weave 2 line. And they're just fun to add a little pop of color in the autumn lines in the patterns. And now I'm going to show you a little sneak peek of the next 6 main blocks in the pattern series, in the On Wander Lane pattern series. And tell you a little bit about what's happening there. I'm really excited to show that to you. Okay, the pattern series is called On Wander Lane. You've already seen March through August. So this is Frost Hill. This is the January block with the snowmen and the sleds, and then the piece blocks around the outside of the quilt. More little snowmen, some little mittens, and then mugs of hot chocolate with the peppermint stick in them. February's block is called Loveland Cottage. The little bunny and bird checking out the Valentines in the mailbox. And then around the border, we have the X and O for hugs and kisses and PC hearts to go with the theme for that season. Then we jump to September. Now we are in school. We've got a little squirrel collecting acorns, the fall leaves, and the blocks around the border are adorable pieced apples and some pencils. Then October, this is Midnight Manor. We've got the jack-o'-lantern. We've got some guests visiting the house and these fun, adorable pieced pumpkins and bats around the border. Then moving on to November, this is Harvest Acres with the scarecrow in the corn patch, and around the border we have maple leaves, different pieces of pie, and jars of preserves. And finally, December, we have Santa and Rudolph visiting Mistletoe Crossing. And in the border around that, we have adorable Christmas tree, presents, and ornaments. And now I'm going to show you a peek of the whole quilt put together with all 12 months. And you can see that each of the 12 months is in the center of the quilt, and then around the outside border, there's one block from each of the 12 patterns, or each pattern has 3 blocks. So the 3 blocks from each pattern make the border around the outside. And if you look at the horizon line in the rolling hills, the hills line up from month to month. So it just makes like the neighborhood. And then I love the checkerboard base for each row. And that's it. That's what's happening on Wander Lane. And now that I have fabric, I can't wait to get sewing.
Thanks, Nancy. Everything looks fantastic, and we can't wait to see the quilt all put together and see what other quilters do with all of your wonderful fabrics. So next up on our agenda is actually Ann Lauer, but I think that Ann's having some technical difficulties. Ann, do you want us to do Pat's presentation next, and then we'll come back to you? Oh, Ann, I think you're on mute.
So yeah, go ahead. I had my laptop in the studio, which I always use, but we're up in the mountains and it lost connection and said I had unstable. So we've brought everything up and I'll get it organized on the table and I'll just show it from up here.
Sounds great. So we'll move on next to our next collection, and we're going to invite you to join designer Pat Sloan on the porch swing and catch up with all the news. The line features fresh teal and vibrant purple with just a splash of black and white. You'll be able to find this collection starting in February of next year. And Pat's prepared a video for us, so we're going to go ahead and play Pat's video now.
Line that will be coming out in the summer of 2023 and next year, so not that far away. I'm Pat Sloan, and I want to show you a little bit of purple teal with a splash of black and white. So let's take a look at the prints. Upsy Daisy is the first print. It has two shades of teal, one with a darker background and one with a lighter background. There's a nice big daisy kind of flower, and then some other sketches, and it's more of like a two-tone. Here's the purple and then black and white. I'm just loving the black and white. Such cool graphics. Petal Pushers comes in two shades, purple and teal. There they are together. And I love the paisley. The paisley is so much fun. It's a big paisley and it's kind of open. This is called Bandanarama. That's hard to say. Could say that twice, 3 times. It's a charm, and in black and white. So this has got a dark background, and the other two had a light background. Chit Chat on the front porch, on the porch swing. That is what we do, of course, in sort of a lighter lavender and a lighter teal to balance out some of the other shades. Swing Time is a little smaller print. It's nice and dense. It has the darker feel to it to give that darker shade into the line. And then the lemonade pitcher, because when you're sitting on the porch swing, you need a glass of lemonade. And this comes in several colors. It is a great blender fabric. The lavender, the teal, black and white, then a darker teal, and the light background here. And I do want to show you, before I show you the other fabrics, the fabrics made into some quilts, I have one of the blocks made up that you're going to see. And this is from Feeling Crabby, one of Wendy Shepherd's quilts. So cute, so cute. Okay, so let's take a look at the projects. Wendy Shepherd's patterns, there's a couple of them here. This first one is called Prairie Blossom. It's done sort of like a pineapple block, but you can see that it gives that alternating blossom where they meet. And then the center of each block is really a nice big square. It really shows off the fabric. Another favorite of mine of Wendy's is the quatrefoil. This is such a cool quilt, and it looks much harder than it is. It is so easy to do, and it's got this great mosaic field. And then, of course, there's Feeling Crabby. You have to have a fun quilt. I just love these little chunky crabs. They're so cute, and being in Virginia, right next to Maryland, crabs are the thing. The Fat Quarter Shop also did a set of patterns and with showcasing my fabric, and they're all from their book called Fat Quarter Style. The first one here is Flutter Porch, and I love how you can take, there's not a lot of fabrics, it's taking like a subset of them, the teal and the purples. Looks really good. Marquee is wonderful. It has the squares again, which allow lots of beginners to try this and have a super fabulous quilt. And Sparklettes. I love that name, Sparklettes. We're going to do this one as a sew along. Love these stars. And the free pattern is for Porch Swing, has this wonderful stepping stone with the squares, and is designed by Stephanie Sheridan. I just love it so much. And arriving in your stores right now is Sleepover. So Sleepover done in Wendy Shepherd's spools and scissors. This is so fun. We're going to do a sew along with this one and a sew along with the Fat Quarter Shop's Snapdragon. So let me show you that one right here. So that's Snapdragons. Now remember that the Sleepover line also has wide backs in, so the pink or the magenta, the lighter green for sleepovers. I think that looks like such pretty grass, like spring grass, and the blue. So these are just arriving into your store now. If your shop hasn't gotten them yet, you can ask them to order it. And then, of course, be looking for Porch Swing in teal and purple and black and white. I am so happy to be able to show these to you and work with Benartex. They are an amazing company to work with. Thank you, everybody at Benartex, for all of your hard work, and thank you all of you for taking a look. Porch Swing.
Thanks, Pat. We absolutely love the Porch Swing collection. I can't wait to actually get some fabrics in hand and make that free pattern quilt. I believe I designed it fat quarter friendly, so that'll make it really easy for shops to kit and for people to create. So now I think we're ready for Anne, and we are you ready, Anne? Oh, I think you're muted, Anne.
Oh, weird. Okay, internet's just
There
weird.
we go.
Okay, so I'm going to need some help, guidance from you on how to hold them up, since I'm not doing this where we had planned it before.
Okay. So first I'm going to introduce the collection real quick. We have Anne with Polar Attitude. She once again brings her unique style to the animal world. The polar bears and penguins are exquisitely realistic shapes decorated with attitude and just a hint of pearlescence. They will bring a bit of winter whimsy to your summertime sewing. Starting next May is when these fabrics will be in shops. So go ahead, Anne, let's see what you've got.
Okay, my company is Grizzly Gulch Gallery because we live in the Grizzly Gulch area of the Rocky Mountains, about 1,000 feet higher than Helena, Montana. And this new collection is called Polar Attitude. So we have realistic polar bears and penguins. We've gone to the North Pole for the polar bears and the South Pole for the penguins. And the fabric is somewhere in between. We don't know where, but we don't have it yet. So we have some really nice paper images to be able to show it off. So can you see this okay? Stephanie, is this close enough? Okay, so these are the polar bears. We have one panel. It has 6 different polar bears. So I've drawn them realistically, and then the studio has done a fantastic job of shading it, and we've added attitude to the polar bears. So if you use the entire block with the blue around the outside edge, you get a 10-inch square, and if you use it to where the beaded swirls or the beads are, then you get a 9-inch block. And we have jazzy swirls at the top and the bottom of the panel with a stripe and an all over that goes with it. So the other stripe, we have the one panel, penguins are in the stripe and in a couple of all over. So we have a stripe that has 2 rows of penguins, 2 rows of polar bears, and the nice beads and swirls in the middle. Different images in each of those stripes. The free pattern is Polar Plunge. So this is using the panel with jazzy swirls on each side, and then 2 borders with polar bears and 2 borders with penguins, and then the jazzy swirls on the outside in the white. You can see that there. The jazzy swirls are in the stripe are printed with 4 across the width, 4 black and 4 white. So you can border a quilt with just 1 link. And this is typical Benartex art in that the shading, every little bit is shaded. We're not talking flat color, and the shading just absolutely makes it glow. Jazzy Swirls is also available all over on black and on white. Lots of detail in here. Bridge the colors, bridge all 3 colors in the collection. We have 3 tonals, new designs in each one. Crackle is the lightest tonal for light blue, light teal, and light purple. Can you see that? the texture. It's good. The crackle's got a really nice texture without being busy. It's also in white, so this works out great for backgrounds behind blocks. Here's squiggles. The medium value, lots of movement, again, without being too busy, in all three colors. The darkest color in the collection, the darkest value, is tiny pinwheels. And when you put them together, you get this kind of a three-dimensional, different play on the pinwheels. And it's also in a black and a white. And then back by popular demand is beaded swirls. Great movement in the two midtones for teal and purple. And then the black and the white have been just hugely popular in other collections. They go with lots of collections. These beads just glow, and it works with all, it brings together all the different colors in the collection. Polar bears and penguins are both large on a squiggle background. These are great for large blocks, like a 10-inch block. Backings, borders. Here's the penguins. Again, look at the shading on the bird itself, and then all the shading in that attitude. Just really, really turned out well. Both of them are also available on a light teal crackle, light blue crackle, and the penguins on a light blue crackle as well. The polar bears are also small on blue and teal. So great in other size, smaller blocks, borders, backings. All the detail is in these small ones, just as in the back, in the big ones. So we have lots of patterns that show it. This is Walkabout, probably our drop dead biggest, most popular pattern. Polar bears in the large blocks, and then in the beaded swirls in the triangles. Afternoon Delight is a 9-inch block. And this shows you how that beaded outside edge from the panel. You could use all over on this, but the beaded makes such a nice frame in that 10-inch block. If you have patterns of mine, if a quilt shop has patterns from previous collections, some of these that I have new covers for, and you've sold the collection, you still have patterns with that cover, you can contact me and I will get you covers for your new ones so that the cover matches the fabric you have. This is panel pizzazz. So you've got the jazzy swirls on each side, simple piece border and jazzy swirls from the all over in the outer border. Because we've had, these coordinates are so pretty, we've done 3 patterns that are just coordinates. This is free fall, quilt as you go, flip and sew, Bargello, wall size or a twin. And then this is twofer, as in 2 for 1. So when you make 2 each of 3 simple strip sets, you get both the table runner and the table topper, or they can be used as wall quilts as well. Same idea, 2 each of 3 simple strip sets using the coordinates, and you have lucky 7. So table runner and 6 placemats. Fast gifts. And then this is Morning Melody. This is our lap size. It also comes in Queen and King. And we've used those small polar bears in some of those blocks that gives it also just a lot of extra motion. So check out my website. It is grizzlygulchgallery.com. We have added a little blurb in the top corner, a little section called African Quilters. If you click on that, you can learn the story. I have lots of photographs. I was in Uganda last fall to trek for gorillas and found a community of African women who were in desperate situations who are making quilts to survive. So it's a compelling story, lots of information there. And you can check us out on Facebook at Grizzly Gulch Gallery and Instagram at Grizzly Gulch Gallery. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Anne. And thank you for the quick switch of location, and glad that everything got worked out.
Always something exciting.
Oh, the joys of live on the internet, right?
Right.
So speaking of joys of being live on the internet, on our last session, we had some technical difficulties with Shelley Kavana's video collection, and we could not get it to play, but we do have it now. So our last designer for this session is actually going to be Shelley Kavana. She wasn't able to be with us in person today, excuse me, but she sent a video to share of her Alpine Valley collection. These dreamy and modern wintered fabrics will arrive in stores in March of 2023. So you'll have plenty of time to create amazing holiday projects over the summer. So here is Shelley's video.
I'm Shelley Kavana, fabric designer, quilt pattern author, and the owner of Cora's Quilts. Today, I'm excited to share Alpine Valley, my latest fabric collection with Contempo Fabrics by Benartex, shipping in spring of 2023. Inspired by the snowy shores of Lake Tahoe, Alpine Valley is a celebration of the winter season in the High Sierra. With just the right touches of greens and burgundy, this collection happily masquerades as a holiday collection that you can enjoy all the way through spring. Those traditional holiday colors are balanced out by bright shades of aqua, unexpected pops of coral and rose, and a navy blue as deep as the lake itself. The focal print, which also happens to be my personal favorite print, is called Peaks, and it features an eclectic collection of cozy cabins and snug cottages hidden amongst the hills. Those tiny, delicate snowflakes that dot the background of the Peaks print become the main focus of First Snow. The icy blue, pale pink, and soft gray colors gives you a variety of options to use as blender prints, while the Icicles colorway features bolder colors against a white background to add just a splash of visual interest to your quilts. The snowy pines that lived in the valleys of the Peaks print get their chance to shine in sugar pine. Surrounded by softly falling snow, these trees are great for adding a wintry touch to your holiday sewing projects. With all these snowy vistas, I wanted to include winter roses as a soft floral element to remind us that spring is always right around the corner. I've included 2 fun textural or blender prints in this collection to help you build out your own projects. The first is Flurries, featuring whirling, fanciful snowflakes. The teal and navy prints showcase white snowflakes for a pop of brightness, while the forest green, coral, and burgundy colorways are tone-on-tone prints. The final print in the collection is called Poinsettia, or Poinsettia, depending on where you're from. This design includes a beautiful range of unifying blender prints in shades of rose, green, navy, and aqua, and also includes an incredible white motif against the palest of gray colors to serve as the perfect background for your quilty projects. While Alpine Valley has been one of my most favorite collections to illustrate to date, I also had a blast designing wintry quilts to feature the prints. Aspen Glow is, hands down, one of my favorite quilt patterns, and I designed this fabric collection with this project in mind. I can't wait to work on my own version of this quilt with you next fall. We'll be hosting a quilt-along on our website later in 2023, sharing piecing tips and tricks, along with video quilting tutorials for assembling your own version. High Camp is a brand new quilt pattern designed to show off the main Peaks print. Inspired by Palisades, Tahoe, the site of the 1960 Winter Olympics and our family's favorite mountain getaway, the design gives you a bird's eye view of the wintry valley as you descend by gondola the 2,000 feet from High Camp back to the village below. And of course, a visit to the Palisades always reminds me of my favorite quilty photo of my other favorite winter quilts, the Northern Lights quilts. So, of course, I had to add a reimagined version of this quilt to the Alpine Valley family as well. While the original version of the quilts were made with solids, this updated version was the perfect opportunity to show off those lovely, soft, tonal poinsettia prints set against that gorgeous pale gray background. I'm really excited to also share my brand new Yuletide sampler project. This generous, full-sized quilt features medium and large scale stars twinkling amongst the pine trees. This 12-month Block of the Month project features 11 different quilt blocks and will also be supported by video tutorials and a quilt-along program on our website. And because I couldn't stop playing with these fabrics, I've also taken 2 of my favorite quilts from my new Barn Star sampler book and given them holiday makeovers. Cordelia is a lap-sized quilt featuring starry blocks set between an Irish chain garland, while Prairie Rose is a larger quilt featuring oversized blocks with softer shades of coral and those beautiful bold burgundy prints. Both quilt patterns can be found in my Barn Star sampler book, and we'll share a handy quilt guide on our website to help you with the placement of the new prints. Finally, next spring, we'll also be sharing Winter Sky, the free 10-inch square pattern to accompany this fabric collection. I know that we've shared so much information in this video today, so if you're hoping to come back and take a closer look at any of the prints or projects, you can find them all, along with the collection's lookbook, both on the Cora's Quilts website and also on the Benartext website. All of the video tutorials that accompany this collection will be available next spring on the Cora's Quilts YouTube channel. And if you're a shop owner looking to put together kits for any of these quilts, we'll also be publishing shop guides to help you plan your own programs. I hope you've loved the prints and quilts featured in my Alpine Valley collection. Please ask for it at your favorite quilt shop or contact your Benartext sales rep to order today.
So I hope everyone liked seeing Shelley's collection, Alpine Valley. That collection, like I said, will be out next spring. And Shelley is actually teaching today, so she couldn't be with us. So I think that's it for our designer presentations. Right now, we're going to do a quick poll. Please answer the question that you see on the screen for a chance to win a fabulous fabric surprise. The winner will be announced at the end of our session. And while the poll is running, we're going to go ahead and move on to our panel discussion portion. And I have some questions that I'm going to ask of the designers. A reminder, if you have any questions or comments for the designers, please put them in the Q&A section down below, and we will get to them after we do our panel discussion. So my first question to the designers, and I thought this was a fun one, and I can't wait to hear everyone's answers, is if you had a superpower, what would it be? And we're going to start with Anne.
So every morning, my husband and I and the 2 dogs hike up the mountain behind our house at around sunrise-ish. And we have a pair of ravens that have learned to come when I call them. So I have this elaborate call, Raven, and they come. They don't always come at the very beginning, but somewhere as we're going, they meet up with us and they follow us around. Ravens have more calls and more vocalizations than any animal besides humans. They sit on the perches, on the tree limbs above us, and they put their little beaks together and they coo and they're lovey to each other. It's incredible. And we keep going around. When we get up high, they take out and fly through the open air above the gulch where we've just climbed up from, and then they continue to follow us. When we get down to the bottom, back to the house, they go down in the corner beyond the dog fence where I feed them. When I show up at my locally owned grocery store meat counter, they say, Raven lady's here. They bring a bag of fat scraps that I cut up in pieces. So I toss it to the ravens with some dog food kibble. And it's just incredible. So my superpower would be, I want to fly with those ravens and see what they see. They're up high in the trees. They come swooping down. They don't even flap their wings. They just tilt and they get down. It's just amazing. So that's what I'd like to do.
That sounds awesome. So Pat, how about you? What would your superpower be?
It's not quite as elaborate as Anne's. And it's sewing. You know how we have to undo seams at times. We have to rip those seams out. So my superpower will be like in Bewitched, where I will just wiggle my nose and the seams will be magically undone. So it'll be very, very easy from now on.
I like that one too. How about you, Nancy? What would your superpower be?
I have kind of a lofty desire for my superpower. I love to travel, and I would love to be able to just, transport myself to any place in the world, and also at any time. I would love to go back, back in time. I love exploring new places, new cultures, new foods. I get so much inspiration when I travel, and I just love to travel. So that would be what I think would be an amazing superpower.
That would be. I agree with you on that one. So let's move to a sewing related question. What is the last quilt project you made? Pat, what's the last quilt project you made?
Like finished? I
How about-
suppose that
what's
means
the la-
finished. It will be for an upcoming day by Annie, where she has this called Sew Pink. And so I have a day on her tour, which is October 20th, and you'll see the quilt that I finished.
Great. How about you, Anne? What was the last project that you made?
I did the Butterflies Are Free twin quilt that uses 3 of my on-point panels horizontally, and makes a whole nother design because they're 3 panels together horizontally. You get this secondary design that's terrific. And yeah, I finished it in the nick of time before a local quilt shop here, like that morning.
How about you, Nancy? I can guess what you're working on right now, but what's the last project you made?
Well, the last projects I made were actually my first 6 patterns of my Wander Lane block of the month. And then I went immediately from that into finishing designing the Wander Lane 2 fabric line. And then after that, I started designing the patterns. So I haven't moved on yet.
Haven't stopped. You're still hanging out on Wander Lane, huh?
Yeah, I'm still on Wander Lane.
So, okay. And here's a question that's kind of interesting. If you could live in a book, a TV show, or a movie, what would it be? Who's got a good answer for this one?
I do.
Oh, Pat, go ahead.
Yeah, Alice in Wonderland, hands down. That's where I want to be. It's my all-time favorite book, probably the only book I've read more than twice in my entire life. And I have 4 different versions of Alice in Wonderland, the book. And tomorrow is the Mad Hatter Day. And if you watch my daily video tomorrow,
Oh,
I'll
wow.
show you those 4 Alice in Wonderland books.
Very neat. How about you, Anne? What book, TV show, or movie would you want to live in?
Probably Under the Tuscan Sun. Again, like Nancy, I love to travel. We cook all the time, elaborate meals, mostly ethnic. And Under the Tuscan Sun, they're cooking, they're building a house in a new place, and then they travel around Italy. And my husband and I got married in Italy a few years ago, and I think that'd be a great life.
That sounds wonderful to me. And Nancy, how about you?
Well, I love to read. I also love to watch movies, but I love being outside in nature, and I would love to live in the world of Avatar, where you run around and the plants light up and everything is floaty and beautiful, and you can jump on your animal and fly around, and I just think that would be amazing. Of course, pre-destruction. That's right.
Yes. For sure. So, okay, let's see, what other questions do I have? Oh, this is a good one because all of you have been in the industry for quite some time. What do you see are the major changes, or just one major change in the industry from when you began designing fabric, quilting, being part of this industry? What's one major change that you've seen? Who's going to go first? Nancy, go ahead.
I started doing my quilt patterns in 1992, so 30 years. And I think the biggest change that I've seen in the industry has to do with the internet and social media. And, when I started out, there wasn't any such thing. So just the opportunity to touch base with quilters and, chat with them and, all around the world and answer their questions. I love that ability. And that's something that's a major change from when I started.
Definitely. How about you, Pat?
I think there's a couple of things. Technology is really, really key. I mean, I've been in it like 24 years and, there was even no email when we started, so, but if you want to take a different twist, is I think the sewing machines now have really made a huge evolution. They're designed for quilt makers. And they weren't so much, they were sort of maybe when I first started a little bit, but now the types of tools that are on them and the how they come out with new ones, and they really work. I work with Baby Lock, and they work very closely with quilt makers to understand what you need, and things are really tailored. And that is, I think, a huge difference for people who really like their sewing machine and what it can do for them to make it easier.
Oh yeah, I agree completely that the sewing machines have definitely come a long way from even 5 years ago. They've improved exponentially.
I mean, I have a laser
and
a scanner on my sewing machine. So
oh wow.
Yeah. It's a computer.
So Anne, what changes have you seen since you started in the industry?
I agree with both Nancy and Pat about, the whole internet thing is monstrously different, as well as sewing machines. Just from a pattern writing point of view, when I started with my first patterns in like 2004, I think, or thereabouts, people wanted, okay, more drawings, more diagrams, more pictures. And then you start doing that, and now everybody wants, do you have a YouTube? Do I have to actually read this pattern, or can you just show me how to do it? So I mean, that's a big difference, actually.
Oh yeah, I agree. So I think we have time for one more question from the panel discussion, and then we'll move on to our Q&A session. What one sewing notion can you not live without?
The rotary cutter. Do not take that away. Thank you very much.
I agree with that.
That's another one of those.
Yeah.
That's another one of those big changes since, cutting every little piece out with scissors to moving into the rotary cutters.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that yours too, Nancy?
Yeah, rotary cutter and, seam ripper.
Same.
both those things I use all the time.
Well, it's probably very nice for the quilters that are watching to hear that they may not be the only ones that have to rip out seams sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, okay, well, thank you, ladies, for the fun and interesting discussion. And we're now going to look at some of the questions that our viewers have posted. The first one goes out to Nancy. Is your block your monthly block pieced and appliqued pieces?
Yes, the center block is applique and then the border blocks are pieced on all 12 all 12 months.
Okay, and then a follow-up question. Nancy, incredible designs and fabrics. Can you tell me what are your go-to decorative stitches for the applique pieces?
I usually do a blanket stitch on applique. I just, it kind of outlines and accentuates the applique. So, and sometimes, if the contrast between the fabrics isn't great enough, then I can blanket stitch in a little darker color that helps separate motifs, and that's what I like to use.
Okay, and we had a comment that one of our viewers, Joanne, loves the connecting horizon line, and that's a great idea. I agree. That's a very unique twist on that pattern.
And that's something that you can't really know till I show you the whole quilt, all put together. I was like, yay, now you can finally see that the hills all line up from month to month.
Yep. Yeah, that's great. What a neat design feature. Linda says that that Pat, your fabrics are just so happy and they're going to be fun to work with.
Thank you.
And then Martha says the polar bears and penguins are just too cute. And Judy asks, Anne, will Grizzly Gulch Gallery have wide back to match what Anne showed today?
It's too early to know that yet.
Okay.
It's certainly possible, and we'll have it out, let you know. We've just, there have been just a few more wide backs added from other collections, so I don't know yet whether we'll be doing that, but it's a good possibility.
Okay. And then, Linda says it'll be hard to cut up the polar bears panel.
Well, that's why we have quilts that use it whole. You can put them in the blocks or you can use the entire thing.
And a few more comments to Pat that the fabrics are beautiful and they love them. And then Dixie says that she's surprised that any of you need to use a seam ripper. Wink, wink.
Only
Well,
real
yes, they
quilters
have
use
been.
them.
Yep, we're all human, right? We all miss sew a time or two or miscut.
It depends
I've
on
been guilty of it myself.
how late at night I'm sewing.
There is something about, though,
Oh.
the second you do that rotary cutter across the width, you realize it's wrong.
Yeah.
Not the second before you cut it, it's the second after you cut it.
Yep. Sometimes that half inch that you need in your seam allowance just disappears somewhere, and then you have to start all over. So we had a question that someone has missed the session. Any way of seeing it again? Yes. Excuse me. This session is actually being live broadcast on Facebook. So it will be available as a video on Facebook, and we'll also be putting it on our virtualfabricshow.com website. After all of the sessions are over, we will get those uploaded as soon as we can, hopefully within the next day or two. And I think that's it for the questions that we had. And so I think we're about done for this session. A few things. First off, I want to thank everyone for coming to our virtual fabric show. We hope that you've enjoyed seeing the fabrics and hearing about them directly from the designers. Be sure to ask at your local quilt shop for these fabrics. and we can't wait to see what you all create. Now I'd like to announce the winner of our giveaway for this session. Paula Paracosi, I hope I said that right. You are our winner, and you will be receiving a fun fabric surprise from Benartex. We will be contacting you via email. So thanks for joining us today. And in the next few weeks, we will be introducing more of our upcoming collections on the Virtual Fabric Show website. So please stay tuned with us and follow us on social media to always be in the know. Our social media links can be found on our website. And please tag us in your posts with the projects you create with our fabrics. And don't forget to tag our designers as well. I know that Pat, Nancy, and Ann are all very active on social media, and they love to see the projects that you create with their fabrics. So be sure to tag them as well and use the hashtag Benartex or hashtag Benartex Fabrics. Oh, I think I see a few more questions pop up. Let me double check this. Oh, no. Oh, Paula just said, thank you so much. I'm so excited. We're excited for you too, Paula. So our next session will be starting soon at 3 o'clock. And I want to take this chance to thank our designers that have come and spent time with you here today. So thank you so very much, Pat and Nancy and Ann. And please join us for our next session, which will start at 3 p.m. Bye, everyone.
Bye.